Overeem versus Augusto Sakai just took place in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 9, Overeem versus Sakai, and it was a great fight while it lasted. It was a little bit slow in pace, but the moments were very interesting to watch, and it was a very interesting game plan to watch unfold for Alistair Overeem. I thought he had a great game plan. It was very clear that he was coming out in this fight looking to let Sakai overthrow on Overeem's guard. He was very good about not taking any clean shots, which I thought was a great sign from an older guy with a questionable chin at times, Alistair Overeem, but he showed his fight IQ tonight with a great performance against Augusto Sakai, and it just looked amazing. It looked like really great. I know that some people may take away from this performance that Overeem looked slow and ploddy. That was his game plan. So although he looked bad, his game plan was to look bad and look slow and let Augusto Sakai kind of overthrow on his guard and then eventually take over, because if you'll notice with Overeem, in this fight, something that constantly happened is that he would go from slow and laboured to quick and powerful. Like, there were some moments in the fourth round where he just got away from the clinch with Sakai, ended up in the open, and would be really slow and laboured, looked like he was slowing down, then a hard body kick would come out of nowhere. A hard right hand would come out of nowhere. I thought the scoring was a little bit interesting. This is one of those fights where I agree with kind of anything you want to say. If you want to say that Augusto Sakai won the first two rounds and Reem won every other round, I'll give you that one. Reem won 10-8 in round 4, I believe. That was a lot of ground and pound that he landed. You know, it was a bad round for Augusto Sakai, so I thought that could have been a score to 10-8, especially with the new 10-8 rules. They seem to be going out a little bit easier nowadays, so I thought that round 4 was a 10-8 round. But if you want to give the first two to Sakai, I agree with you. If you want to give 1 and 1 in the first two rounds, I get it. If you want to give both of them to Overeem, I think that's the least likely of all the outcomes, but you know, also both of those rounds are really close and they are kind of opinion based, because the Reem, was going out there and landing all of the shots at range, good front kicks the entire time, good leg kicks as well, was landing some big punches here and there, good knees in the clinch to the body, but Augusto Sakai was landing a good flurry combination here and there, so Sakai had the moments, Overeem had the consistency in the rounds. I just thought that maybe they would see the activity of Sakai a little bit more. Even though those shots weren't landing too clear, I thought the activity of Sakai maybe would have secured him those first two rounds. I haven't yet seen the scorecards, but I'm assuming that they probably gave the first two rounds to Sakai, because people were telling me that the commentary was completely biased. But you know what? Alistair Overeem came out there and knew that he needed to get to work, and he did that in the fourth round. Great ground and pound, absolutely dominant, and then in round 5 came out straight away again, and you can see it at the end of round 4. I said at the end of round 4 this could have been stopped, but the fact that it wasn't stopped, looking at Augusto Sakai right now in between rounds 4 and 5, the way he finished round 4 on his back, looking up at the lights, breathing really heavy, he didn't want to get up, he had to be kind of encouraged up by the UFC staff that were there in the cage, which is never a good sign. So Augusto Sakai, I was thinking to myself, maybe they call this. Maybe they call this off in the corner because he'd been cut up his entire face. He was visibly slowing down and gassing out massively. I mean, it wasn't shocking that he gassed out. I'm not going to pile on about his body here. I don't think that's something that should be done too often, especially from a pretty big guy myself. I'm just saying that maybe by the looks of things, you could have assumed that maybe Augusto Sakai did not have legendary cardio. Just going to point out there, take a shot in the dark and assume that Sakai doesn't go 5 rounds like Cain Velasquez. But then again, maybe a little bit of body fat's good for you. But Augusto Sakai was visibly slowed down. But I think one thing that slowed him down more than anything was the knees to the body in the clinch from Alistair Overeem. Because it does look like knees to the body. But these shots that land at heavyweight are completely different. I can watch a guy at bantamweight eat a couple knees to the body in the clinch, and it might not mean anything. It might just be points being landed. When you're landing knees in the clinch at heavyweight, that's a completely different man throwing that. And when you're getting them done against Alistair Overeem, and Alistair Overeem's the guy doing them to you at heavyweight, it's a real big problem. And you could see that Augusto Sakai was starting to slow down as the fight went on. Alistair Overeem turned it on once he knew that Sakai had used all of his energy trying to get a finish. Overeem gets it done. I thought he was going to get it done. I picked Alistair Overeem to win. I'm a big fan of the Reem. I thought he was going to get it done by second round TKO to ground and pound, but he didn't seem to engage in the grappling in the first 2 rounds. Guess that was his game plan. Didn't see that one coming. I thought he would really be initiating the grappling quite early and going for some of those sweeps in the clinch once he got the clinch control. Sakai was the one going for the clinch. Overeem just played a great game plan of completely rope-a-doping Augusto Sakai for the first 2 rounds and then really switching it on after that one. Won a clear third round. Great front kicks to the body in the fight. Great straight shots down the pipe. Overeem looked really good. What can you say? Overeem looked pretty good. Even though he looked bad at the start, he was supposed to look bad. So it makes him look even better that he was so bad. He's so good that he wants you to think he's bad. That's how good Overeem is. Great performance. Really great performance. Wow. Augusto Sakai apparently landed more significant strikes than Overeem in that fight. They maybe have not tallied up every round. I'm assuming they haven't tallied up every round because that's just not the truth. But Alistair Overeem looked really good. I'm so glad. He didn't have a call out on the mic because there's not really anyone too clear to call out right now. He said he wants a little bit of time off and to maybe return at the end of the year or the start of next year. That doesn't really sound too much like time off to me because you're fighting again in 3 or 4 months, Overeem. But you know what? Make a run for it right now. You're 40 years of age. You're not getting any younger. He looked in great shape as well. Normally, Overeem doesn't take his shirt off at the weigh-ins. This time, he was looking in really good shape. Better shape than we've seen him in for a very long time. Looked very good. His cardio is so good. For a heavyweight to do that over 5 rounds, you've got to have great cardio. That's something that people underrate about Alistair Overeem. He has noticed that, okay, maybe I can't take the clean shots and go for wild exchanges anymore, but I've still got a decent enough chin where if I can see all of the shots coming and I can shell myself up and await them and know when the shots are coming, I can defend against these. I can take these shots. And I may not be good enough to explode and destroy guys in the first round anymore, but I'm going to work around it. So I like the fight IQ of Overeem here. He improves his cardio. He improves his fight IQ, improves his footwork as well. There's other things you can do to work around a weakness that a lot of people have exposed. He never got caught up in big exchanges. He didn't seem to overthrow many of his shots. Very patient performance. It was basically the Jairzinho Rozenstruik performance, but Sakai was just more tired than Rozenstruik. Basically, if Rozenstruik was as tired as Sakai, Reem would have passed his guard and beaten him. But Rozenstruik kept a good base on bottom, kept his knees up, stopped Overeem from passing guard. Good job. But Augusto Sakai, one thing I did notice, that he had good feet on hips at some moments in defense on the ground, but he was just not in good enough shape to get up that quickly, which is a very bad sign because he's definitely going to need to trim some of that weight because, you know, if Overeem's on top of you, you don't want that to happen. Sakai had moments where any other fighter at lower weight classes, if they get feet on hips and push you back like that, they're popping right back up in a rush. Sakai didn't have that rush and didn't have the speed to get up in time. So Overeem just settled back into position. I was worried about up kicks for a second, but, you know, Augusto Sakai just wasn't really doing too well as the rounds went on, and good win from Alistair Overeem. I want to see him versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik next. I want to see it on... I know they like giving Overeem main events of fight nights. I'm down. If they want to do a main event in January after Masvidal versus Nate Diaz 2, apparently that card is in January. If they want to do a fight night before or afterwards, let's do Alistair Overeem versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You're talking about a guy in Overeem who has accepted that he wants to fight early next year. Let's make that rematch happen, because it was a close fight. Overeem was winning the entire thing. There's some questions to be answered still, even though Rozenstruik did technically get a win at the end. It was a bit of an early stoppage. I know he busted open Overeem's lip. Open Overeem, Jesus. I know he busted open Overeem's lip in the 5th round, and it was a bad-looking cut, and that kind of softened the blow for a lot of people. That was a little bit of an early stoppage. Overeem popped right back up, and if there was a fight still going on, he would have reacted somewhat coherently rather than running off to the side because the referee's in the way. I don't know. I just think there's answers to be had. So I want to see the rematch between Alistair Overeem and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And guess what? This was a big gamble from the Reem. He just stayed active, had a great performance, looked really good, didn't take too much damage, covered up when he needed to. Great performance. Made a bunch of money as well, I'm assuming, because, you know, this was the only fight that was really big time on the card. It was a great card overall, don't get me wrong, and I'll break down the entire card on my channel later on, probably tomorrow morning for me anyway, because it's 4 AM right now. But Alistair Overeem looked really good. I was proud of him. Good stuff. And born in England, so he's repping the fucking UK, boys. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I'm not glory hunting. He was born in the UK. He's a British fucking savage, and we're taking him as one of our own. Thank you, Alistair Overeem, for a great career. Him versus Rozenstruik 2. Winner of that one takes on probably the winner of Blades Lewis, because they're going to get shafted, I reckon, because it's such a jam right now at heavyweight, and Garnu's going to fight Stipe. The winner of that's going to fight John Jones. We'll see what goes on. No heavyweight's going to have a fun time working their way back to a title shot right now, so we'll see what happens. I think it's a good Good time. Good time to be a heavyweight, though. It's a good problem to have. Too many contenders. Really good problem to have. And good job over him. There was a part of me that wanted Sakai to win this one. So I was kind of rooting for him a tiny bit because it's always nice to have new blood. And no, don't get me wrong, a 16-1 young heavyweight on Augusto Sakai would be a good addition to the heavyweight division. But Alistair Overeem just showed him the fucking ropes. Oh, hey, this is what happens in these later rounds. Oh, you've never seen these rounds before? This is what fucking happens. That's the first fourth round Augusto Sakai has ever seen in his life. And it was one of the worst rounds we've seen because he just got destroyed during it. So, good performance from both. Sakai needs to work on his gas tank, but he won't be fighting any five-rounders anytime soon, so he probably doesn't. Maybe this is a good thing for him. Now he can reset, fight lower competition, probably beat him, make some more money. You improved your contracts, you were in a main event, so maybe this is better than being rushed straight to the top right now because he's clearly got some holes he needs to work on. Overeem gets it done. Thank you for watching. I'm a huge Reem fan, so this meant a lot to me. I never like seeing Overeem get KO'd. A lot of people find it fun. I don't like seeing it happen because I genuinely feel like it's like a health hazard sometimes. I know every KO is a health hazard, but with Overeem, I've seen it happen so many times. I'm just worried that one is going to be too many, and it didn't happen tonight. The chin gods were in favour of Overeem. They're too busy paying attention to Luke Rockhold's comeback, so they just fucking had a blind eye for this one because they let Overeem get away with it. Same with OSP as well, so the chins were good to us today, ladies and gentlemen. The old chins and the old veterans showed up big time. Great performances from all. I'll do a full card breakdown. I'm going to break down Mikhail Pereira versus Zelim Imadiev as well, because that was a great fight as well, so I'm going to talk about that for a bit. But thank you for watching. Click that button there, and goodbye.